Welcome back to today's economic news. I'm your host, John. Today, we are diving deep into a topic that's not just about numbers, it's about lives, livelihoods, and a staggering series of events that have left a community in turmoil. We are talking about the nearly $1 billion welfare fraud probe in Minnesota that has rocked the state's Somali American community. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's set the stage. Imagine a system so flawed, so full of holes, that it allowed a billion-dollar scheme to develop under its nose. Yes, $1 billion. That's the kind of money that could fund schools, hospitals, and infrastructure, yet it's vanished into the ether, leaving despair and distrust in its wake. Before we look at today's disaster, remember back in 2020 when they said the system was foolproof? They assured us that oversight was airtight and that public funds were in safe hands. Fast forward to today, and look where we find ourselves. It's like planning a family vacation for years only to find the reservation lost and the money gone. Historically, Minnesota has been a welcoming haven for Somali immigrants seeking a new life away from turmoil. However, this very welcoming environment has morphed into the perfect breeding ground for exploitation due to weak regulatory oversight. The complex web of socio-economic struggles and the challenges related to remittance systems have paved the way for what we see now, a billion-dollar catastrophe, highlighting the pathetic inadequacies across various oversight entities. Let's unpack the facts. The fraud schemes in Minnesota have boiled down to an estimated $1 billion. Think about it, that's the amount being swindled out of a system meant to help those who need it the most. Translate that $1 billion into everyday life. It equates to hundreds of dollars taken from each taxpayer, funds that could have bolstered community programs or gone directly into your child's schooling. What's more infuriating is that these funds may have been redirected to finance extremist organizations like Al-Shabaab. Do they think we are stupid? We're talking about taxpayer money potentially lining the pockets of those we fight against. Then there's the $215 million annual remittances flowing from Somalis in the U.S. to Somalia. These remittances, pivotal for families back home, amount to about 10 to 30% of a family's income here. Translated, this means that amidst all the uncertainties and joys of raising a family, many Somali Americans willingly part with a significant chunk of their earnings to support loved ones abroad. That's the kind of sacrifice governments should respect, not exploit through lax regulations. The well-meaning, albeit informal, Hawala networks facilitate these transactions efficiently, yet here they are being demonized. We cannot overlook that the Hawala system, often the most viable means of financial support, now bears the brunt of skepticism. The question is, are we targeting crime, or are we threatening the lifeline of the vulnerable? Turning to Abdisator Ahmed Hassan, a young 23-year-old who pleaded guilty to providing support to ISIS. It's examples like these that provide easy ammunition for legislators to attack immigrant communities harshly. 20 young individuals, back in the late 2000s, left Minnesota to join Al-Shabaab. These instances, however isolated, are brandished as banners of risk, overshadowing larger systemic failures at play. And when Sen. Jordan Rasmussen tells us this money could fund terrorist organizations, you can't help but sense an oversimplification of complex, structural inadequacies brushed aside by those who should know better. It's time to deliver my libertarian rant. The minute the government fixes its gaze on Hawala networks, it's not just financial channels under threat, but the very survival of the immigrant communities relying on them. Failure to oversee $1 billion fraud speaks volumes of government incompetence. It is staggering that a system so trusted can let $1 billion slip through the cracks. How can we trust them to regulate remittances without stifling them? The overreach to control these networks compromises individuals' liberty to manage their funds as they see fit. Do we need to remind the government that too much finger-pointing at Hawala redirects attention from broader failures? It's akin to revoking keys from a faulty pilot, rather than repairing the aircraft. To wrap this up, Minnesota's welfare fraud investigation is yet another red alert against unchecked government powers and the erosion of economic liberties. If you're as frustrated with these grave systemic failures as I am, don't just stand by. Subscribe and be part of our dialogue for change. This is John signing off. Until next time, Remember, vigilance is our power. Stay informed and stay empowered.